Welcome in tonight. What do we have to talk about tonight? Did anything happen in Virginia? I don't know. American Rebel Light, Virginia Nationals started out good. Steve Torrance. We're gonna look at some of the qualifying and the tasty challenge, the Too Tasty challenge, the Mission Too Tasty challenge. But we had some disqualification in the Top Fuel final. We'll get into that later in the show. Caps made it to the final of the challenge. Steve Torrance again goes back to back. Gage Herrera wins another event. But let's dive in. I'm a little short on some of the media that we have today. NHRA sent some out yesterday. I didn't grab it, and then they sent some more out today and completely changed the media box. So we're gonna kind of go through this and talk about it just a little bit. Hang on just a second. Let me get these on so I can hear what we're doing.
Sean Langdon ripped off the starting line, and it's Steve Torrance. Torrance goes down 3.
So Langdon goes to the final in the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge. Leaves on Steve Torrance, but can't find the number at the end. 063 on the reaction time to an 087 for Torrance. Rough light, but Steve Torrance gets it done. Langdon has a little bit of a mishap there.
Sean Langdon ripped off the starting line, and
you can see
Torrance.
If you look a little over the 8th mile, he starts putting out some cylinders. You can see it just a little bit, and it kind of slows him down because he had quite the advantage on
Sean Langdon ripped
right here, right there. You could see him kind of starting to flame out. Gives up the stripe in the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge. Obviously, was pretty good in the post run tech during that run. Yes sir. Drag Race Mayhem. We're gonna get to the penalties. We're gonna get to the penalties. I got a little bit different perspective on there, but we'll get to that here in a little bit.
The starting line, and it's Steve Torrance. Torrance goes down 387, beats a 392. Langdon was off first, but man, Steve Torrance, I don't know how
there you go. 6 rounds in a row, Steve Torrance has won. Going back to Bristol, right? He won 4 rounds, all 4 rounds in Bristol. Man is on a tear right now. Along with Caps running good too, but it's good to see Torrance doing really, really well
against this guy in eliminations tomorrow.
Angel Sampé, the brand ambassador for Mission Foods, puts the medal around Steve Torrance's neck as he is your Top Fuel champion here in the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge.
Okay. What did I tell you? We're going to talk about Caps again too, right? Here we go. The final in funny car for the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge, the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge. A 4 and a 5, Dan Wilkerson and Rod Caps. But boy, Caps took a little bit of a nap. Anthony, I'm with you. Kind of tough on the penalties so far this year between Erica and now Sean. Like I said, we're going to get into that here in a little bit. Let's finish up some of this qualifying and eliminations. Look at this. 083 Caps took a nap. Just missed it. He absolutely missed the bulb. Dan Wilkerson didn't even do much better, 069, but it's almost 200s, just about 200s of a second difference that's going to be tough to make up.
Dan Wilkerson is trucking left side of the racetrack. He did it. Dan Wilkerson, a winner for the first time in the Mission 2 Fast 2 Tasty Challenge. And you called your shot with a strong 4:03 at 3:20. That is low ET at the
just got beat. Is all there is to it.
It's safe to say we're having fun down here as Dan Wilkerson is about to get the med.
And if anybody doesn't know, Miss Angel Sampey is former Pro Stock Motorcycle. I got you. Pro Stock Motorcycle driver. Now the brand ambassador for Mission Foods in the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Heck of a motorcycle rider she was.
Medallion around his neck from Angel Sampey, the brand ambassador for Mission Foods. Dan's.
Okay, here we go. Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge motorcycle. Richard Gadsden, our Bristol winner. Coming out swinging, coming to Virginia swinging, but Braden Davis laying down an absolute pass here.
Both bikes leave well. A 12 reaction, but look at Davis. Davis is just putting a gap on Gadsden finish line stripe.
There was nothing Gadsden could do. I was watching Braden's interview at the end. He said, hey, you know, his dad always told him if he gets beat by having a 20 light, then the other person just beat him, but not today. He just absolutely outran Richard Gadsden. Gadsden didn't have the performance there at the end. I mean, you saw the mile an hour that was there for Gadsden, 199 mile an hour to Braden's 198 mile an hour. But like we talked about last week, a couple weeks ago, mile an hour and ET are not mutually exclusive. You can have a big mile an hour and a slow ET. Just so you can have a big ET and a slow mile an hour. So, yeah, just Braden putting it on him in qualifying.
A 677 beats a 683. Braden Davis has run the table here in the Mission Challenge.
Braden Davis is your Pro Stock Motorcycle champion here in the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. There is Angel Sampey, their brand ambassador, putting the medal.
So, we're going to have to pause it right there. Okay, so that sets us up. Top Fuel qualifying. I'm sorry, let's start with motorcycle. Motorcycle qualifying. Where are we at? Right here. All right, so Gage Herrera, Angie Smith, Richard Gadsden, Braden Davis, Matt Smith, Steve Johnson, Ryan Oler, Chris Bostic, Hector Arana, and Chase Van Sant. Let's see here. Where we at? Oh, did you guys watch the Factory X showdown? I don't know if you guys have seen that, but these Factory X races are bananas. They went down through there with their small block, turbocharged small block, but the final was a 703 with a 7 to a 703 with an 8. Those guys literally ran within 1/1000th of each other. Granted, the reaction times were a little bit different, but a 703 with a 7 to a 703 with an 8. What a race. Like, that is a phenomenal race. But let's get into eliminations. We got Gage Herrera and Angie Smith coming up in the finals in motorcycle. Gage is on an absolute tear, right? He won 3 weeks ago and runner-up. I got a Pro Mod clip in here. We're going to get to that right now. Here's the
and here we go. Braden Davis is 020 on the tree and left second. Gage Herrera 011, but Braden Davis drives around and takes over the top spot.
Sorry, that was qualifying.
675.7, 198 miles an hour. Braden Davis is going to the final round. Oh, look at that peak machine. 398.8, 314.68, down on speed a little bit.
398 with an 8. Fast Jack Beckman to the pole.
It still takes over the top spot from J.R. Todd. Ron Capps sliding in third, 402.8, 320.81. Brittany's going to give it a go. Brittany Force, 383.9, 327.98.
Well, it was good to see Force. 365 days. Good to see him back.
So a big step forward for Brittany Force. 2 solid runs, and Brittany Force takes over the top spot. You've got a new #1 qualifier.
All right, so there we go. There was the too fast, too tasty challenge in qualifying. Braden Davis to the top, Brittany Force to the top, fast Jack Bettman to the top. All of them been running really, really well. So really no surprises there in qualifying. Coming down to eliminations, though. What? All right, here we go. This mentioned earlier. The Russian rocket, Dmitry Samarukov. I butchered that. And J.R. Gray and the Alanabi Pro Mod. Yeah, I don't know if you don't know anything about, hey, ATYL Media, how are we doing tonight? Miss Taylor, how are you? If you don't know anything about Pro Mod, it's almost like I don't even know. I don't even know how to explain it. Big block blown, just absolute raw power. But watch Dimitri, the #1 qualifier. He crashed it in burnouts, doing a burnout last year at some point. But this is the final round in Pro Mod. Take a look at what happens here.
Lights are down! Oh, and he's gonna do it! Wow! How about that for an upsetting ending? Right there! The Russian going all over the track. The car lost traction, went into the wall. Oh, and he's gonna do it! Wow! How about that for an upsetting ending?
Hey, let me tell you what, Pro Mod is violent.
The Russian going all over the track.
I mean, all of drag racing is a violent launch, but Pro Mod is something special.
The car lost traction, went into the wall. J.R. Gray, your champion here at the Virginia Nationals at 5.78 seconds. 578 at over 251 miles per hour.
It does look like a real life Hot Wheels car.
Oh, and he's gonna do it! Wow! How about that for an upsetting ending? Right there, the Russian going all over the.
So I did talk to my cousin. He follows them pretty heavily on social media. They said the car's not as tore up as what you would think. Obviously, it's front half, but it didn't really get it as bad as what the wreck made it look. So that's good.
The car lost traction, went into the wall. J.R. Gray, your champion here at the Virginia Nationals at 5.78 seconds. 578 at over 251 miles per hour. They're going to go down there and assess this right away, my friend.
I do want to say that J.R. Gray got out of his race car asking how Dimitri was, and then he quickly switched to saying, all day, J.R. Gray. Back-to-back Wallies for you to end this regular season. How championship ready is this team?
I just believe everybody's got to catch us. We're putting in time day in and day out. You know, there's always somebody working on these cars. And I really believe we're for the off-season. This is 4 finals in a row for me. We have been in every final as a team this year, so we are really ready. You know, Trump called me last week and told me, now, JR, you're sending too much gold to Qatar. But I said, that's what we do.
All right, so again, Pro Mod. I grew up a big Pro Mod fan back in the 90s when it was only carburetors and nitrous oxide, hood scoops. That's the Pro Mod I like. I still like it, but I always like the nitrous cars and the carbureted cars. There was something about that package that would they screamed. But man, Pro Mod absolutely violent, full, door slammers, just getting after it. Crew chief said he put too much of an aggressive tune on it. Obviously starting line his way, blew the tires off of it and just broke traction and truck that broke traction and just absolutely fenced it. But twas a good, he had a good weekend, right? He's #1 qualifier. He's been fast. It just got after it a little too much. Let's get back to eliminations. All right, so we got Angie Smith and Gage Herrera. Gage has been absolutely lights out the last 3 weeks. Winner, runner-up, winner. You can't really, you can't really beat that. He's been on the tree. He's been doing his job at the starting line. I mean, he's just getting done, and he's got a team bike that's running just as good. So let's listen to what he's got to say.
A.G. Smith was 200s better. Gage Herrera.
I say that he's been. I say as soon as I say, boy, Gage has been on it. Look at the lights he's been cutting.
Trying to stave off.
He cuts a 065, gets absolutely blistered on the tree by Angie Smith by 2/2300ths of a second. That's a lot of ground to make up in drag racing, but they absolutely gets it done. Drives around Angie and takes the win line.
Smith, the Denso motorcycle at the finish line stripe win light for Gage Herrera, 682.6, 198. Gage Herrera collects his 24th career victory.
Okay, so let's have a math lesson, shall we? 065 minus 042 is 23, right? So 2300ths. Angie left on Gage by 2300ths of a second. Therefore, she's got a little bit of a head start. At the end, 682 to a 685. All right, so an 82 to an 85, 82.6, 85.3. Doing the math, 22.4, right? 23 puts it at a 59, right? Hang on. Let me do some math. Let me do some math real quick. I got to break out the calculator. I done lost myself. Oh, man. All right, so 27 thousandths. All right, so we determined that Gage got left on by 23 thousandths, so he had to make that up. He won by 27 thousandths, which gives us a difference of 4 thousandths of a finish. 4 thousandths. There you go. 004. 4 thousandths of a 4 thousandths of a difference in the margin of victory. Very, very close. We're talking about maybe that much of a difference at the finish line at 200 mile an hour. So he drove around her just enough.
In his 28th career final round, outrunning Angie by 41 thousandths or 10 thousandths of a second.
From American Rebel to hand that 24th career Raleigh to Gage Herrera, your reigning Pro Stock Motorcycle champion. 3 Wallies already this season. For those coming for you this year, including your own teammates, what makes you top dog?
I just gotta
get that. Hey, gotta get that sponsor can turned in there the right way.
Keep it heads, you know.
We appreciate American Rebel Light for sponsoring the NHRA Virginia Nationals.
I had a strong head on my shoulders. You know, Braden's out here on the rental bike. He's definitely good. You know, he's gonna be really good if he finds some fun.
So if you heard that, Braden's out there on the rental bike, borrowing, renting a ride, but qualifying number 1, winning the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Man, that just speaks volumes for Gage's team and what they're doing.
He's out here all the time. You know, we always end up, the last 2 races, we end up in the semis, and I think we're both nervous. He always says he's more nervous, but it's just awesome for the whole Vance Hines, Rezzo, Suzuki team. You know, Motul, it's for us to have 3 fast hot rods and to go out there and show that we have it, you know, back to back. And it's just, we got an incredible team, and it's going to be unstoppable. You know, everything goes on my team, Andrew and them. You know, we struggled a little bit in qualifying, but we got home. We're going home with the race win. I can't thank American Rebel Beer enough. It's awesome. Thank you. Woo!
Okay, so I had to do the format a little bit different tonight. I apologize. I put all my media into one video and uploaded it locally to try to free up a little bit of space on the back office part of our streaming service. So that's why it's all kind of one continuous video that I'm going back and forth. My apologies if I seem like I'm ignoring you or whatever. But Gage, heck of a season, defending champ, probably looking like he's gonna walk off with it again this year. Doing a phenomenal job. Okay. It is good to see John Force at the racetrack. It's good to listen to his interview. But man, it's really good to see John Force back at a racetrack. All Force final.
And it's another beautiful run between these two cars. Big move by Beckman's machine. It is Austin Prock. 4:06.1. 3:18 beats a 4:07 at 3:05. And John Force is at the starting.
So look, I just want to point this out. We got a 4:06 with a 1 to a 4:07 with a 1. Only 1/100th of a second different, but almost 13 full mile an hour different, which is wild. And Austin Prock left on him by 5 thousandths of a second. So there you go. 15 thousandths is what the finish was. But 318 mile an hour, 305 mile an hour, like that's just a good old drag race. The ETs were there. They were within a 100th of each other. Like that's just a good old drag race to get to the end.
What an incredible turn of events. 365 days later, Bruno Massel is with him.
Down here with John Force. John, obviously this is a huge moment for you. You just watched both of your funny cars go down and race, and Austin Prock bringing home the victory for John Force Racing. John, what kind of emotions are you feeling right now?
Yeah, those guys are doing a great job, and I want to thank the fans for being, here in Richmond. Been hot, sorry about that. But I wish you would have interviewed me last year when I was here. But it's a big day at John Force Racing, and I owe a lot of dedication to the hospital for keeping me going, my family, my employees, YCU hospital, and the helicopter that got me there. And all of that is important. Medical staff and I can go on talking, but want to thank Chevrolet. I want to thank Peak. I want to thank Jimmy Prock for his team winning that. Cornwell Dealers, Monster Energy, Hendricks, Cars.com, Graham Rahal Performance, and their new initiative, Tests Force Rahal. Fans can support the benefit. And after what I've been through, we need to help everybody, even the ones in the stands, so be careful going home.
Congratulations, John.
Man, great to see John Force. Good to hear him a little bit excited, if you will. But I'm going to finish that out. I want to listen to Prock's Victory Lane interview. Then we're going to head to Top Fuel.
And we knew no matter what that John Force Racing was headed home with the Wally today in Funny Car. I remember being at this stop-in with you a year ago, and you said you were taking that Wally right to John Force in the hospital. Why is he the winner here today?
Well, I mean, we went through hell last year. There was a lot of uncertainty, and we had no idea which way all of these events were going to go. And we're so blessed to have him back out at the racetrack healthy, and to win back-to-back for him. This trophy's definitely going to him as well. We battled through adversity last year here racing for him, and this year obviously we wanted to win for him, but we battled a lot of tough track conditions. A lot of people were struggling here, and my team just kept their heads to the grindstone and got the job done. I had a feeling we were going to come in here and prove why we're the points leaders, and we did exactly that. We raced smart, we raced competitively, and I finally got my stuff together behind the wheel. So really proud of this win. I can't wait to get back and see my family, see John Force, and celebrate big tonight. I'm going to be hydrating on these boys tonight. Woo!
The Procket going to get a little bit of hydration for the American Rebel Light, but yeah. So a few races ago, he's a first run runner up, and then now he's got a little bit of humble pie on that first round loser, and has ratcheted up. But Top Fuel, boy, did you guys see the final for Top Fuel? Holy cow. What a good one, right? We got Drag Racing Mayhem. Thank you for the pick. Top Fuel winner, Sean Langdon. Womp, womp. Not so fast, my friend. Not so fast, as Lee Corso says. What happened? Let's take a look at NHRA's statement. It says NHRA, Sean Langdon's run from the Top Fuel final round on Sunday at Virginia Motorsports Park has been disqualified. Rulebook violation. Per the NHRA rulebook and related SFI Spec 6.2, the cover is required to be secured by no less than 12 bolts. During a post-run inspection, the cover on Langdon's dragster did not meet the requirement of 12 secured bolts. He was disqualified. Justin Ashley is awarded the winner. But what does this look like? All right, here's our bell housing. Okay, I circled the windowed part is where we have the issues, right? There's 2 bolts on each side and 5 across the top and 5 across the bottom. 12. Those have to be in. Now, was it a performance advantage by not having 1, 2, 3, whatever those bolts secured? No, it was not. However, what we must consider is driver safety. This is a safety device. If something blows up, clutch pack, flywheel, whatever blows up, that window doesn't need to be coming out. If it's bolted in, it needs to be bolted in. Well, so is there a performance advantage there? No. Is it a safety problem? Potentially, yes. If there's an explosion. Now, does it warrant taking away a win? Man, that seemed like a very long time for NHRA to come out with the penalty of what it was and the penalty when Eric Ender's penalty was like pretty direct right then and there. We knew right then. It was really weird waiting till darn near 1, 2, 3 o'clock today, it seems like, before we found out. I could speculate all day long. It does not seem like a few unsecured bolts would toss out a win. However, on the flip side, NHRA as an organization has rules. Every manufacturer has a requirement. If this is a SFI safety requirement, that needs to be on there. Hey, if I'm a safety director in the construction field, if I hook my lifeline off to something that is not installed correctly with not enough bolts, I could potentially lose my life if I fall and need to depend on that piece of equipment. It's a similar situation here. If this manufacturer says, hey, there needs to be 12 bolts in there and there's not, then that's a violation. Now, does the crime punishment fit the crime? Let's see what Drag Race Mayhem says. Your opinion is you hate the penalty, feel it's valid, but NHRA has a history of taking forever and not even being public with stuff like this. My opinion is given the points format, this isn't even bad. I don't disagree with you. That's a very good point. But when it's driver safety involved, you gotta there's no point in having a rule book if you're not going to enforce the rules. It's one thing if you have a wrong wheel, but that's not a driver safety issue. This is an absolute driver safety issue, and they're taking a hard stance on it. It's tough. It's a very, very tough penalty, but I bet you the guys over at Cleta will never have a missing bolt out of a bell housing again. I'll bet you. And I'll bet you it'll be a long time before we see any Top Fuel or Funny Car team have a bell housing securement issue again. I agree. I feel like it's more Drag Race Mayhem. I agree. I feel like it's more of a way for more of a put your foot down kind of thing, if you will, right? You got to eventually enforce your rules, and you got to have a hard stance on them in order to keep everybody in line. I'm not saying that I know it's not a performance advantage. I'm sure it was an absolute accident. However, an absolute accident can absolutely cost somebody their life. So, for instance, NASCAR, you have a piece of lead not secured. You're not. A crew chief's gone, right? He's not going to be. He's going to be kicked out pretty swiftly. Now, is this the same thing as a piece of lead coming out of a race car? No, it's not. But the fact is, it's still a driver safety issue. So, all in all, he was disqualified. Justin Ashley got the win. It did shake up the points. Let me see. I think I've got some. I think I got the points here updated. Where are we at? I do not have the points. Let me look those up real quick, and I'll put that on there, because it certainly switched it up a little bit. Let's go to standings. Here we go. All right, so your points leader is still Tony Stewart, and in Top Fuel, Sean Langdon is still second at 31 points back. Justin Ashley is 141 points back. Doug Collette 163, and Antron Brown 180. Man, Sean and Tony just kind of running away with it right now. So, not really a tight battle. A couple round lead, almost 1.5 round lead for Tony. Remember we established that last week how the points are given. So, a couple number one qualifiers and a couple rounds, and he right back to the lead. So, tightened up the points lead, but it didn't tighten up the points lead. Tightened it up. We thought it tightened it up, but then it didn't after they awarded Justin Ashley the win. But so that's it. That's the 12 bolts within that window that's circled. Like I said, 1 bolt on each end, 5 across the top, 5 across the bottom. That is a window that has to be bolted in there. It's access to the clutch, the flywheels, the flywheel and the clutches, everything that goes in there that bolts the transmission onto the drive into. That's what kind of connects it to the motor, right? This bell housing bolts onto the back of the motor. Everything comes into that. Your flywheel and your clutches are inside the bell housing. So in the event that there's an explosion, man, that thing's going to need to be 100% all the time. And if there's any sort of any bolts missing, that's just unfortunately a violation, something that was missed. I talked to my cousin back and forth today. I still don't know. I'm not 100% sure on the penalty. I think it's a bit severe. But there again, if you're going to get somebody's attention, that's the best way, is to take their trophy away from them. Usually, you start taking people's trophies away, and that starts stinging a little bit. So in a way to harness the safety and emphasize driver safety, hey, I think they made the absolute right call on this. It's harsh, but I'll bet you that they do a good nut and bolt check before they roll it back out there. I know if you're big into NASCAR, you know what a nut and bolt check is. Car doesn't roll out on the track until we put a wrench on everything. And I know these guys tear these things down, run after run after run, tearing them down and putting them back together. But got to have a final check. Got to have a final nut and bolt check before it rolls out of there. And every nut needs to be tight, or every bolt needs to be on there, right? So, tough lesson, but it is what it is. It's their sandbox. You just got to bring the rake and hope that it's the right rake when you get there. But I applaud NHRA. I wish that they could have made it known a little bit sooner. However, when we're talking about driver safety, sometimes you got to take the hard stances, and I think they did right. But I'm hoping to have an interview scheduled next week with with Mr. Sherman Adcock Jr., a legendary sportsman racer. My dad raced with him. Growing up, I watched this guy race a lot. So hoping to connect with him. I talked to him over the weekend, and I should be hearing back from him hopefully tomorrow. But gonna get an interview with him. Got one coming up with Miss Erica Enders. I'm gonna reach back out to her. PR. Talked to Miss Sarah last week. So it should be good to go coming up here in the next week or two. But until then, we're gonna keep digging. Let's see here where we at next. Norwalk, Ohio, this coming weekend. I've been to Norwalk. It's a good track. It's a fun area. But it looks like it's going to be Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock motorcycle, no Pro Mod next week, but back to the Pro Stock, Funny Car, and Top Fuel Pro Stock motorcycle. But we'll be talking to you next Monday at about 8:30 on Above the Yellow Line. Thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. Sean Langdon, DQ, because of a bell housing, because of bolts in a bell housing. Got to have them all there, or you know what it's going to cost you next time. For everyone over at Above the Yellow Line Media and Miss Taylor Kitchen, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. We'll see you next week.